I just finished a 10-episode long show that's been running, like it just finished. Today was the last day that the final episode was published. It is a Japanese BL called Our Youth. This is the Japanese name, and this is also the kind of ratings that everyone has given it, and I so agree. Second to last episode? Last episode? Hell fucking yeah, dude! Oh my god, yeah, so let's get into it. So some context, this was, quick Google search. It's based off of a manga. It was actually a Korean manhwa that it's based off of, and then it was a Japanese adaptation. So this is based off of work already. I have not read the original work. I have not seen anything besides, like, this. And I don't know how similar it is to its source material, so we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to talk about the series itself. Also, say hi to Bunny, who just jumped up. Hi, baby! Let's talk about some ups. I am a sucker for symbolic imagery. If anyone has known me at all, you should know that. If it's in a poem and, these words allude to different ideas and thoughts that it's not actually, you're not as hot as a summer's day, right? Duh. I love it visually as well, and this show uses a lot of water as its own ideas of love and such. So there's like a vast ocean, and our oceans are mixing or not, or they're receding and going away, and like our lives aren't connecting and stuff, and I want to be in the ocean that you're in, stuff like that, right? And then there's this idea of kind of, it's not like a baptism, it's not like a religious thing, but like cleansing yourself and cleaning yourself with water when something bad happens, or just trying to reset yourself. I thought those were very great and well done. Now, sometimes that idea of this water, these oceans, and, sailing on a boat and stuff are really, like, pushed in your face, and it's not subtle at all, but it's there the entire time. Like, you find towards the end, like, it's been narrated by one of the characters this entire time, and we've known that what we're watching is, like, the past, because it's, like, him writing in a journal kind of thing, and then towards the end we get to present time. But anyways, so it's his kind of recollection, I guess, which I don't feel like it's an unreliable narrator. I feel like it's still shown in reality, but we do get occasional, interludes where a dude just starts talking about oceans and stuff. That's a whole entire conversation about opinions of, like, is it an unreliable narrator? Is this actually how it went? Stuff like that, but just enjoy it, okay? Now, based off of just the title itself, you might guess that it starts from when they're kids and then moving on past then, or maybe it's just the kids version, right? But it starts when they're in high school and it ends when they're in college. So there is a time jump in there, and it is so funny. I guess you could say this is a con, but they look the same age, like, the entire time. Like, nothing changes. You can put this little guy in a suit all you want. It will not make me think he's a businessman. Especially since, I think he's 19. There's the guy with more of, like, a blondie hair is older. I think he's about my age. And then there's the guy with the black hair, and he's younger. And you cannot make that guy look older and mature. Like, he's a kid still. So I thought that was funny. And kind of took me out of it at some points, but you're just like, I gotta ignore it for the story. Like, what do you expect? A whole bunch of aged makeup and look poor? Like, no. Now, I really like this show, but I'll save my rating for later. But I wanted to think of the practical side, the production side of this show, and how well it was able to invoke feelings in myself, and I'm guessing the rest of the audience, and whatnot. I don't feel like it used its time in the most effective manner. I feel like it either dragged on at points, like that second to last episode I was talking about in the beginning, where, like, just, like, no plot, no story really happened. Like, yeah, some stuff happened, but get to the juicy stuff, like, what are we doing here? Like, why are you just dragging us along? And then there are other points where these storylines come up and just kind of lead to nowhere. Like, there's at one point a character has to go to America, and it's this big deal. Happens off screen. Like, does he gain any skills from the... No, like, ugh. So I realized I probably didn't show both of them. This is the guy who's a little bit older, or like my age, and then that is the younger guy. You see, they look young, okay? Now, with these maybe more negative ideas of the show, I don't even care. Like, I got hooked the first time I saw this. I think there was only 4 episodes out at the point, or 4 or 5 episodes. When I started watching it, I binged all of them, and then had to wait week to week. And I enjoyed it so much that, like, it could have gone more in depth into some of the storylines that it was telling or tried to bring up and just kind of didn't go anywhere. It could have gone more into, you know, family dynamics of abuse, because that's a huge thing in the story. One of the characters' father is very abusive and is an alcoholic, and that they could have gone more in depth than that. But I think looking at this story through the perspective of these children in high school who might not understand the complexity of all of these things, like, I think it was okay seeing it from this more simplistic viewpoint. Personally, I'm a very hands-on person. Physical touch is one of my, like, biggest love languages. So when I see people confessing their feelings and then they just, like, stand there, this is for every show that I watch, by the way, not just specifically this, but I would be all over that other person. I would be hugging them, kissing them, like, non-stop for a while, you know, like, I have all this, like, pent-up energy that I just want to give to you out of this love. And they did do that at the needed points, like the necessary points, you know, the big kiss scene or, like, hugging and whatnot. But, again, this is for a lot of shows. I always wish that the characters would do it more. Because it's like, okay, you love each other. Why aren't you showing more of it? And I know that's not how everyone shows their love and emotions, but they do it so well when they do. So for this show specifically, I would be a huge fan of them, like, extending certain scenes, you know, them kissing, them laying in bed, stuff like that. And I know, like, that's not the story it's trying to tell. It's also not trying to be graphic in any way. Like, it's not overtly sexual. These kisses are so innocent, and it's really nice to see that. And there was this moment where I think there was just a stretch of 1 minute or 2 minutes, which doesn't seem like long, but when it's not cut and it's a still shot of just 2 people staring at each other so lovingly, and they just can't believe that this is reality, that's really sweet. Like, that's what they need. They don't need a sex scene, right? While how entertaining that would be, I think it knew what it was doing. Okay, I've talked enough about this, so my score, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I really want to give it a 9 out of 10, but after watching it and finishing it and looking back at different parts, there were a couple of drawbacks in my mind. You know, the storylines that didn't really go anywhere, things that were brought up in the beginning that didn't get brought up at the end, stuff like that. But the feeling that this show gave me, like, I couldn't stop smiling at points. You know, the story is interesting enough and in-depth enough to get hooked so easily and believe in these characters and want to root for them. And so I think it did a great job at evoking these certain feelings in the audience. And it knew what it was doing, and it was doing it well. I don't know, that's the best I can say. 8 out of 10. Breaking news, breaking motherfucking news! Our youth had an 11th episode. It was like a special thing. So, like, the story had finished and this was like the aftermath. And I had originally thought that there was 11 episodes, but then I went back to the, like, wiki and it said there was only 10. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna make my review yesterday because I was like, there's only 10. Look, I'll try to keep this short because I need to be in bed, but I could dissect just this one episode and have so much to talk about. I think it hit so many points, and it hit so many points that I disliked about the rest of the series, about how it, like, didn't fully finish certain storylines, or how, like, they weren't just hugging, kissing each other all the time. This one they did. It's like, anyways. So, I'll try and keep this short, but I really liked this last episode. So if you didn't know, it is still illegal to marry the same gender, same sex, in Japan. And this follows two men. And so while at the end of the series, they say that they want to get married, and it kind of ends on this happy note, this is the aftermath of them facing the reality of how they can't. Like, they're waiting until the law changes, but when will that ever be? And the kind of insecurities that come with having to keep this relationship almost a secret from all of those that you're close to, in fear of being judged, in fear of being persecuted, and all these different aspects. But yet everyone's like, oh, when are you gonna get a girlfriend? Oh, when are you gonna get married? And like all this pressure, this external pressure, but you're with someone, and it's killer to see all of your friends and loved ones get married and know that the law is supporting them, whereas it's not you. For me, the most important thematic aspect of this episode was the strength and like courage and love that you gain from your partner. So in this episode, there's a lot of insecurities from the guy who had black hair, because he's always afraid that his partner is going to leave him, because he kind of did that in the show, like earlier in the show, but then they came back and they reunited, right? And that can be kind of traumatic when the one that made you realize you're gay, you know, like and just leaves and drops you from their life. And it's his partner has to continuously reassure him, like, no, I'm going to be here no matter what. I love you. Even if this marriage, like, isn't possible for as long as we live, like, I don't care. As long as I'm with you, that's all I care about. There's more to it, but hold on. Now, there are multiple points throughout this episode in which they talk about, like, is it okay that we kiss here because you might be seen by your coworkers, that kind of stuff. Or can I tell our friends that we're dating each other? And these conversations are things that gay couples have to have. And you're not going to be understood by everyone. And there is that kind of risk of, like, that should be a conversation that both of you have and you should both agree on. But a lot of shows will have one character kind of announce it, and then one will be like, oh, he's just joking, and then the other one's like, no, I'm not joking, we've been dating for 10 years, you know, that kind of thing, and then it becomes a whole thing, and then they, like, break up. In this, it's realistic, where one goes like, yeah, I had a crush on him, and then he's like, don't joke about that, and then he was like, yeah, no, just kidding, and, like, he moved on, and it was really smooth, too, and I was like, yeah, because that's what you do socially. Not saying it's the right thing, not saying it's the wrong thing, but it does make sense for someone to do something like that socially. It's a way of saving face. It's a way of relationship maintenance. It makes sense to not go against the hierarchy or the mainstream in the society that says, like, being gay is bad. So it makes sense to be like, haha, don't joke about that. You may disagree with how it's gone about, but I actually liked that they did that, and they talked to each other, like, behind closed doors. They were like, hey, I'm so sorry if I made you uncomfortable. Let's talk about this. Like, let's actually have mature conversations instead of just blurting out all of our fucking mess in front of everyone, like so many other shows and movies do. So I liked that. It took a very mature stance on this topic, and I appreciated that so much. I like how they focused a lot of this episode to be about the insecurities that one character holds, even though he's in, like, a very stable relationship, right? I think it's something that everyone can relate to, being scared to lose their loved one of any kind of relationship. But I don't think a lot of shows take the time to think about, you know, what does come after the confession? What does come after that happy wedding or something? You know, like, what happens in an average relationship that society sees as not correct? That's a lot of stress and just guilt and pressure just put on you at all points. Like, that doesn't go away, and you're just there being reassured by your partner, and you know that your guys' love it's so important that it matters. You know how I said I was going to keep this quick? Whoopsies. I've changed my answer. Alright, didn't have my regular pen, but here you are. I've now changed the ranking to a 9 out of 10. This this episode changed it, because the drawbacks that I saw for the rest of the show, like half of it was talked about in this newest episode, and I think I found the pen. Sorry. Anyways, I think it was enough to bump it up. I love the show so much, and then this last episode I just couldn't stop smiling. Like, it was so good! So, bumped it up.